The first time I stood before the alien queen of the Calyrex Dominion, everyone else bowed. Every soldier, every diplomat, every being in that massive throne chamber dropped to one knee the moment she entered. Except me. And that was the moment everything changed. The rule of submission. There are certain rules in the galaxy that even humans learn quickly. One of them is simple. When a Calyrex queen enters the room, you bow. Not as a gesture. Not as a courtesy. But as a declaration. You bow because she is above you. You bow because she can end your life with a single word. You bow because every species that refused no longer exists. So when the Terran Alliance prepared its first official diplomatic contact with the Calyrex Dominion, they made one thing absolutely clear. Follow their protocol. That meant bowing. That meant submission. That meant survival. And I agreed. At least, I thought I did. The man who wasn't supposed to be there. My name is Commander Adrian Voss. I wasn't supposed to be the lead envoy. That position belonged to Ambassador Halen, an expert in alien diplomacy and interstellar law. I was just security. Backup. The kind of person who stands quietly behind the real negotiators and makes sure nothing goes wrong. But everything went wrong anyway. The ambassador collapsed moments before we entered the Calyrex flagship. Medical emergency. Severe neural overload from the ship's exotic radiation field. He couldn't continue. And suddenly, I was the highest-ranking human left, which meant I had to step forward. Into a situation I wasn't trained for. Into a room where one wrong move could start a war. The throne chamber. The Calyrex flagship didn't feel like a ship. It felt like a living empire. The corridors curved unnaturally, walls pulsing faintly with energy like a heartbeat. Everything was massive, overwhelming, designed to remind you exactly how small you were. By the time we reached the throne chamber, my instincts were already on edge. The doors opened, and the room swallowed us. It stretched endlessly in all directions, lit by floating spheres of golden light. Columns carved from dark metal rose toward a ceiling that disappeared into shadow. At the far end was the throne, and seated on it was her. Queen Zyrelia, the queen. She didn't move when we entered. She didn't need to. Her presence filled the entire chamber. Tall, perfectly still. Her skin shimmered with a faint metallic sheen, reflecting the golden light around her. Her eyes glowed softly, ancient and impossibly aware. Every being in the room turned toward her the moment she shifted slightly. Then it happened. A Calyrex guard struck the ground with the butt of his staff. A deep sound echoed across the chamber. And instantly, everyone bowed. The entire room dropped. Hundreds of beings lowering themselves in perfect synchronization. Except me. The moment of defiance. It wasn't planned. It wasn't a decision I consciously made. Just happened. My body didn't move. My instincts refused. Something deep inside me said, don't. So I didn't. And the moment stretched. Heavy. Dangerous. The silence became suffocating. I could feel it. Every eye in the room shifting toward me. Every guard tightening their grip on their weapons. And at the center of it all, the queen noticed. Her glowing eyes locked onto mine. The weight of that gaze was unreal. Like being examined by something far older than anything human. Then she spoke. You do not bow. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. I swallowed. No. The question. The room felt like it was about to explode. The Calyrex were not a forgiving species. Defiance wasn't tolerated. It was erased. Yet the queen didn't react with anger. She leaned forward slightly. Curious. Interested. And then she asked the question that would change everything. Why? Simple. Direct. Deadly. Every human behind me held their breath. Because there was no safe answer. No diplomatic response. No script to follow. Just truth. And truth is dangerous. The answer. I took a breath. Then I said it. Because respect isn't something you can force. The words echoed across the chamber. Every alien in the room froze. The guard stepped forward instantly. Weapons glowing. But the queen raised her hand. They stopped. Her eyes never left mine. Explain, she said quietly. So I did. On Earth, I continued, We bow for respect, not for fear. And there's a difference. The queen tilted her head slightly. Fear ensures obedience. Yeah, I said. But it doesn't create loyalty. The silence deepened. People who bow out of fear, I said, will turn the moment they're no longer afraid. But people who respect you? I met her gaze fully. They stand with you. The dangerous truth. No one spoke. No one moved. Because what I had just said was more than defiance. Was a challenge. To her rule. To her authority. To everything the Calyrex believed in. The queen stood, slowly, gracefully, and stepped down from her throne. Each step echoed across the chamber like thunder. She stopped in front of me, close enough that I could see the faint patterns of energy moving across her skin. You believe my people do not respect me. I think they fear you, I said carefully. And you think that is weakness? No. I shook my head. I think it's incomplete. The turning point. The queen studied me. For a long moment. Then she asked something unexpected. If you do not bow, what would you do instead? I didn't hesitate. I'd stand. She blinked. Stand? Yeah. Why? Because standing beside someone shows respect. Not submission. The queen went still. The idea clearly unfamiliar. Your kind does not kneel, she said. We do, I replied. But we choose when. And you choose not to? I choose to stand. The shift. Something changed in the room. Subtle. But real. The queen turned slowly, looking at her court. At the hundreds of beings still kneeling. Silent. Unmoving. Then she looked back at me. You defy a tradition older than your species. Probably. And you do so without fear. Not without fear, I said. Just with conviction. That made her pause. Conviction, she repeated. Yeah. Another long silence. Something no one expected happened. The ending. The queen straightened. And slowly, she turned toward her court. Rise. The word echoed across the chamber. Every Calyrex froze. Because that command had never been given before. Slowly, uncertainly, they stood. Hundreds of beings rising from submission to standing. The room felt different instantly. Lighter. Less suffocating. The queen looked at them. Then at me. You refused to bow, she said. Yes. And you challenged our ways. Yes. And yet. She paused. You did not seek to dominate. No. You sought understanding. I nodded. Yeah. The queen turned fully toward me. Her glowing eyes softened slightly. Human? Yes. You have shown me something my people have forgotten. I raised an eyebrow. What's that? She stepped closer. Respect cannot be commanded. Pause. It must be earned. The entire court listened in silence. Because their queen was changing a rule that had defined their empire for centuries. From this day forward, she declared, Calyrex shall not demand submission. A ripple of shock spread across the chamber. We will earn respect. She looked back at me. And you? Yes. You will stand. I smiled slightly. Was planning on it. For a moment, the queen almost smiled. And that was when it happened. Across the chamber, one Calyrex warrior remained standing tall. Not kneeling. Not bowing. Just standing. Beside another. For the first time in their history, the Calyrex were not a race defined by submission, but by choice. And it all started because one human refused to bow. End of story.